Hello, I'm Donald Leggett, and welcome to the latest London South East CEO interview. I'm joined today by Werner Klingenberg, CEO at Goldplat, the AIM-listed gold recovery services company with market-leading operations in South Africa and Ghana. Welcome, Werner. Thank you for joining us from South Africa today.
Thank you, Donald. It's nice to be with you.
It's a pleasure to have a chat with you. And this is the first time you've been in London South East, yes?
That's correct, Donald.
Okay, and today, a very important RNS you put out, very positive RNS outlining your results for 2020. And it might be a good place to start to summarize the change in strategy and in fortunes for the Goldplat business in 2020 for us.
Yeah, thank you, Donald. I think as a start, when Goldplat listed originally in 2006, I can't believe, the group is already 15 years in existence. Its intention was to use the cash flow generated by the recovery operations to really build an African-focused junior mining group. The recovery business since then has remained cash generative and profitable, however, not to the extent that it could capitalize the exploration and mining segment by itself. As a result, the segment kept on, if I say segment, I'm referring to the mining segment, kept on incurring losses, and a strategic decision was made at the beginning of the current period to really de-invest from mining and exploration. And as a result, we've basically abandoned our remaining exploration portfolios, and we then also signed, subsequent to year-end, the binding term sheet agreement for the sale of the producing asset in Kenya. I think if we look at the strong performance in the recovery operations during the latest financial period, it further strengthens and supports the decision we've made.
And for those new to Goldplat, can you summarize what gold recovery services actually are? What does that mean on the ground?
Well, I guess it's best described as a niche industrial and responsible gold processor of gold and other PGM.
Okay, Werner, what does that mean though?
Well, if you look at the mining industry, specifically the gold mining industries in Africa, they do produce various types of byproducts, Donald, specifically fine carbons, wood chips that comes from the wood chip support in the underground mines, specifically in South Africa, and other byproduct items like mill liners and slags. And we basically have designed processes in our South African and Ghana operations to recover and extract the last bit of gold and return value back to those mines, and also to deal with those waste in an environmentally responsible manner.
So how does it work? Do they pay you? Do you pay them?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. On lower grade material, we purchase those byproducts from them outright. In the higher grade material, they supply us with a product, and we provide more of a service to them, whereby we extract the gold, we return a certain percentage based on the grade back to the client, and we retain some plus a service fee.
Now that makes sense, because I was wondering, why are they going to give you high quality ore? Why don't they just sort it out for themselves? So
I think, in the end, it's all about priority and focus. I think the byproducts produced by the mining industry is, per mine, maybe not that economical to design processes to handle it. And that's where Goldplat comes into the picture. We've got a niche plant in South Africa and Ghana that can handle these material, and because we can source from various groups and mines, we can get the economy of scale.
So tell me a wee bit more about Ghana and South Africa, those waste recovery plants that you have, and what's your strategy for those going forwards?
Well, I think I probably highlighted already, Donald. They've got various types of industrial processes, from incineration, spiral milling, CIL in South Africa, different types of circuits to really handle these type of materials. The Ghana operations really only focuses on fine carbon and liners from the mines, which is normally the higher grade material. In South Africa, we've got 4 different CIL circuits, carbon and lead circuits, which processes wood chip type of material from the mines generated in South Africa, as well as a lot of surface sources. And when I say surface sources, South Africa has had a gold mining industry for more than 100 years to date. And there's a lot of remaining gold material cleanups that needs to be done in flay areas, remaining stockpiles and rock dumps. So in South Africa, we've got the various circuits to process that material. That's normally our lower grade type of material, running between 2 to 3 grams a ton. And really for South Africa and Ghana, the focus in the next year and looking forward would be on just growing our market share in South Africa, West Africa, and as well as South America. We are gaining traction. And then in South Africa, increasing our ability to really process that the lower grade contaminated material through continuing our investment into different processing methods. During the period, we've installed a screen and an additional cycloning circuit in South Africa to be able to handle the carbon, high contaminated material. Our largest CIL circuit, and we're looking to extend on that during the current period. We're also really looking at forming strategic partnerships in the industry. With us moving away from mining, it is important that we really strengthen our role in the industry and really become sort of what the bigger group of mines require from us from an environmental point of view to increase our service offering to them. And then, I mean, it's always been our aim to increase or diversify into the processing of platinum group metals. South Africa's got the largest PGM industry in the world. And although
do you have sufficient revenues, flow of revenues to do that, Werner?
Are you referring to the platinum group metals?
Indeed, diversification into platinum group metals.
Yes, I mean, I think obviously the industry is totally different, and the processes applied in the platinum industry is different. So the type of byproducts they generate is different. It's normally lower grade, and it requires different processes to extract. We have, and we are currently processing some PGMs, but it's something we want to expand on.
Okay, that's very interesting. Now, let me very briefly take you to the past. Goldplat lost its way, struggled to get high quality material to process in the past. So just for the sake of drawing a line under all this, what went wrong? And why are things different now? Why will things not go wrong in that same way now?
Yes, Donald. I won't say we've sort of lost our way. And I think on the other hand, I also won't say we've reduced the risk of supply totally. I think our recovery business will always be exposed to what we call sourcing or supply risk. What has happened is that obviously with us moving away from exploration, specifically with the potential sale of Kilimenpesa, and the cash requirement reducing from the mining segment, we've got the ability to, management has got more time to really focus on the recovery business, to go out there finding more material, creating relationships, and also look at different ways of creating more value from the material we currently have on site.
Okay, and you briefly mentioned Kilimane Payza. You said you seem to infer it may have been sold. So what's the up-to-date situation with the Kilimane Payza sale?
Donald, I'll start firstly to say that we believe that Kilimenpesa gold is still a valuable asset, but it didn't fit our strategy, and we could not provide it with sufficient capital and human resources that would be important to develop the mine to where it should be. And as a result, we needed to look at different ways of funding that operation. Now, we ended up signing a binding term sheet agreement on the 31st of July 2020, in which we sold 100% of the asset in return for $1.5 million of value in the listed entity that will ultimately take over the mine. And further, we will also get 1% net royalty capped at $1.5 million in the future. This was obviously with the agreement that they will invest $4 million, which the mine, we believe, need. And they will be raising that and investing that into the mine before 31st of December 2020.
So we're quite close to finding out whether that term sheet is going to be binding and happen.
Well, Donald, I mean, the term sheet is binding. I think the team, the Mayflower team, has done a lot in terms of getting the prospectus and everything in place. And we probably will be updating the market in the near term in terms of the progress. I think more importantly is also that the Mayflower team has been managing the operation basically from end of August together with us, and also funding the operation in the interim, which is quite positive. So for the last 6 months, the amount of funding required by Kilimenpesa and also the management time required by Kilimenpesa has reduced significantly.
So it's all working fine and going just exactly as you'd expect?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and if there's no more mining for Goldplat, if it's not gold mining, where's your growth going to come from? Might you consider buying another gold recovery asset?
I think, I mean, Goldplat is, well, firstly, to answer your question about gold mining, I think we've made it quite clear that Goldplat's strategy is to focus on its strength, which has been gold recovery, and we've been successful over the last 10 years. So there's no plan in the near future to invest into exploration or mining at all. Growth will be derived from increasing our market share. I also already indicated that in West Africa, there's still a lot of potential, specifically Burkina Faso, where there is a lot of mining operations where we're seeking to get material from. The challenge there remains the governments and the ring-fencing of exporting material which is not in bullion form. But over the last 2 years, we've made a lot of headway. It's been impacted by COVID in terms of interacting with the governments, but we believe we'll find a way. We've been successful in Mali to do so. So I think in short, yes, I mean, we would like to increase our market share in West Africa specifically, also in South Africa. And then we're looking at diversifying into PGMs, as already stated. The big opportunity that I haven't mentioned earlier is in the final processing of our own tailings facility in South Africa. We've got a JORC resource of 82,000 ounces at the grade of 1.78 grams a ton, on the 1.4 million tons on the TSF. The TSF, I mean, that JORC compliant resource was done in 2016. Since then, we probably put about 500,000 tons onto that TSF. So you probably would say the resource has increased since then. So for me, in South Africa, the focus will really be in finding an optimal way of reprocessing the tailings facility in the near future. We're investigating various options, building a reprocessing plant on our site in South Africa, but that will require finding additional tailings facility that can accommodate all of that material. The other option is to remove that material and process it through one of the bigger plants in the vicinity.
Okay, and over what time frame might those plans roll out?
Well, I mean, I think what we initially discussed in terms of increasing market share, that's something we're continuously working on. In regards with the tailings facility, we've done a lot of work over the last 12 months to sort of develop a business plan and to optimize the recoveries from that material. And that will continue. I mean, we're aiming to find a solution, hopefully within the next 12 months.
Okay. We're coming to the end of our interview here now, so it's probably a useful point to actually talk about those financial results, which we mentioned at the top of the interview. They show a return to profitability in the core assets, which you must be very pleased about. And they also look at the Kenya impairment. So talk me through all your numbers.
Yes, I think, I mean, the results for the current period for end of June 2020 definitely reflects the strategic change we've made in the business. And the group produced strong and much improved operational results for the year 30 June 2020 from continuing operations. The profit before tax for the year from continued operations almost increased fivefold to £5.6 million. If we look at the after-tax number, the continued operations actually increased by a factor of 10 to £3.3 million. That enabled us to increase our cash and cash equivalents to roughly £3.1 million. That's up from 2.3 during the prior year, and we will be looking at utilizing that to reduce the current debt of about £1 million at the end of the year.
If I could ask you, is your profitability dependent on a much higher gold price, or is that because you've managed to increase your margins in terms of your production flows and so on?
Yes, Donald. I mean, I think by now you probably realize that the Goldplat business is quite a complex business model. We definitely are dependent on the gold price, and the gold price does impact on our margins. But more than that, our margins are impacted by the volume of material sourced, the quality of that material, and also the amount of gold we can recover from that material. And as indicated when we started, I mean, a lot of our material we source, we actually return some of that gold back to the client. So the cost is also linked to the gold price at the end of the day. So if the gold price goes down, our cost goes down, and if the gold price goes up, obviously the cost also goes up. And I would say in terms of revenue, about 50% of our production is impacted as a minimum by the moving gold price itself.
And Werner, why should retail investors, such as the ones we have in London South East, why should they hold your stock?
Well, I mean, if we look at where the group is currently, and I'm talking about the continued operations, the earnings per share from continued operations was around 1.27p, which puts us at a PE of just over 5, which I believe is quite low for a cash generative entity with low to limited debt on balance sheet. I think the recovery business has been with us for quite a long time. I mean, we've got a proven track record for the last 15 years, and we are quite well placed to be able to continue to generate cash flows. And we're going to look at distributing some of that in the future, whether that's through dividends, whether that's for share buybacks. That will determine when the time comes. But I think there's definitely a lot of value in the recovery businesses going forward.
And my final question, Werner, what comes next in terms of news flow?
Well, I mean, we've spoken about Kilimane Payza, and we probably will be updating the market within the next 30 days in terms of progress. The second quarter is going to be finalized end of December. We will be putting out numbers towards the end of January. Further than that, I've already spoken about our tailings facility, and we probably will be looking at giving market more and more information and data. We've been speaking about this for the last 3 to 4 years, so it would be quite good to start sharing more information to the market once it's possible. And we're also looking at, as I discussed, I mean, we're looking at different ways of returning value to the investors. So there's a lot of things we're currently working on that hopefully we can share to the investor in the near term.
Okay, Werner Klingenberg, CEO of Goldplat, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. For more interviews like this one, please subscribe to the London South East YouTube channel. And finally, thank you for watching and do stay safe.